Good morning, friends. Hey, do you have ghosts? Are you haunted? Well, on today's exciting Get Ready with Me, I was thinking of topics that we could talk about. And I thought that might be a good one because, everyone has a different opinion on it. And I'd like to know what yours is. So, do you believe? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in hauntings? Do you have experiences with that? I feel like when this topic gets brought up, usually people are definitely interested in talking about it. Um, and actually, a lot of people have a story, have their own story that they want to share. I have a few, I'll be honest. So basically, do I believe in ghosts? I do. I mean, are they ghosts? Spirits? I don't know, but I believe, and I'll tell you why. When I was a kid, this is my first experience. Now, actually, let me step back just a minute. This is not a ghost experience, I don't believe, this that I'm about to tell you. But it is my first experience with something that I felt was not of this world, supernatural. Um, Actually, in this instance, I kind of believe it was God. So, I mean, if you believe in ghosts, don't you have to believe in God? I don't know. So, my first experience when I was young, I basically I was an only child. My sister, my half sister, was 16 years older than me. So she she was doing her thing and not really in the picture. As far as when I was growing up. She had moved away and, got married and all of that. So uh I was basically an only child. Now, I had friends, of course, but when I want to say, mm, how old would I say I was? I'm going to say like 9 or 10. I definitely know it was elementary school age. And this is why, because my elementary school in my town that I went to, I mean, all elementary schools, I think, basically look the same. A lot of them, they all seem to be built with bricks and they're all kind of shaped in a slight curve, at least where I live. And the one that I went to, um, they had the playground in the back. And it was a gravel playground, FYI, for those of you who don't believe in letting your children swing high, play on the monkey bars, and fall into a pit of gravel. It was an experience, and I definitely learned from it. But anywho's, I would go up to the school. I was going through a phase of liking to play tennis. It wasn't really playing tennis so much as batting the ball off of the wall, and it would come back, and I would hit it back and forth. And they had a great brick wall at my school that was just a giant brick wall. I think it was the backside of the gym or something because there was no windows. And I didn't live too far away. Of course, in today's world, probably you would never let your child at that age go up to the school by themselves on the weekends and do anything at all because it probably took me, it was probably a 15-minute walk, maybe. If I walked, I don't remember. I might have rode my bike. Anyway, the point of the story, I digress. See, this is why I can't do those short videos, is I would go up there a lot to play tennis off the wall. And one time I was there, and I was there alone. Almost always I was there alone. There wasn't any other kids there, even though there was, the playground in the back, and it was right in the middle of a neighborhood. But one time when I was there, I was doing just that, and I just had this overwhelming feeling come over me. It was just a feeling. There wasn't anything in the environment that made me feel this way. Um, it was just a feeling that I was not safe, that I was possibly in some actual serious danger. And first of all, you have to understand, I was not prone to, being afraid of things. Like, I wasn't afraid to go somewhere by myself. I wasn't afraid to be alone. I wasn't afraid of, people. I mean, I was definitely shy, okay? Definitely. Anyone who knows me from school um will know that I was on the shy side, except with my my close friends. But I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid to do things, go out and do things on my own. So I had never experienced anything like this before. And in fairness, I have never experienced anything like this since. And I do believe this was 100% God. I believed it at the time, and I believe it to this day. And so, anyhow, I had this overwhelming feeling that I wasn't safe and that I should look around. Okay. So I was standing quite a ways off from the brick wall, out into the playground, sort of, on the blacktop, like where a basketball court would be. And I looked over to the right, not past where not my brick wall right, but clear to the right of the building. And it was like my vision blurred, except for tunnel vision, right into the end of that building. And I saw, it's so hard to say. It wasn't like there was a person just standing there, that would be obviously scary. But um, there was something looking around the corner of that building at me. And I say something, not like I think it was a monster or some stupidness like that. I mean, and those of you who believe in monsters, I do apologize for just ripping on them. But it was it was not a it was not like I saw a person looking around the corner of the building, but it gave me that impression. It gave me the impression that there was someone there that possibly meant to do me harm. And I did see them looking around the corner of the building at me, 100%. But it was not like I could make out them as, oh, this is a person with brown hair and he's like 40 years old or anything like that. It wasn't like that. But it was a person. It was a man. It was freaking scary. Okay. Now, that was my first and only experience of that kind, to this day, like I said. And that was my experience. Obviously, I survived, everyone. I got on my bike or, ran, whatever I was doing, got my little tennis balls and my racket, and I went home. And I cannot remember if I told my parents this or not. I just don't know. I could ask my dad, but honestly, he's not going to remember. You know what I mean? Now, if my mom was still alive, I bet you she'd remember, because, moms, they just sort of remember these things. So that was my first experience. And I bring that up because, sorry, I got some of my notes ready. Because I believe that certain people are more sensitive to those kinds of things than others. And I think that that is why some people have experiences and some people don't. I don't believe that you have to believe in order to have a ghostly or spiritual, supernatural experience. But I do think you have to be predisposed to being able to see that, you know? So that was my first experience. And that was my only experience for a very long time. I don't ever remember having any other experiences like that or in any way odd until I would say I was probably 20-ish because I was born in 1968. And my next experience that I recall, I was um, living in South Carolina. Actually, I wasn't living there so much as visiting my parents who were living there. My dad had moved from my small town in Wyoming right after I graduated high school. He got a great job. He's an engineer out in North Carolina back in 87. But this was 89. And at this time, he was working in South Carolina. And my parents lived there in a house. It was actually a giant old, really old. I mean, in this town in South Carolina, it was Lancaster. For those of you familiar, I do believe everyone there pronounced it Lancaster, but I always called it Lancaster because that's just how it's spelled, and so that's what I called it. But anyway, it's a very small town, and I mean, a whole bunch of the houses there were like 100 years old or over. And the one that we were living in was like that. It was a giant brick house that had been changed into a duplex. So one side of it, it was 2 stories. One side was ours, and the other side was another lady and her boyfriend. There was a front door if you looked at it from outside, but the front door only went into her side of the house. The entrance to ours was in the back. Anyway, so I was living there at the time, and I was working there. It was for the summer. Let me just say, as a side note, if you ever have the chance to work in South Carolina or to even live there in the summer, don't do it, because it's literally hell on earth for heat and humidity. I'm telling you right now, just don't do it. Anyhow, I was living there with my parents, and we had a cat, and he was my same cat that we had when I still lived in Wyoming. Cookie, for those of you who remember me. Anyway, we had a few experiences in that house. And when my dad and mom and I started sharing, it turned out that, it wasn't just like me that was having an experience. So my dad, who, if anyone knows my dad, okay, if any of you know my dad, you know he is not prone to exaggeration, wild, thoughts of, things that don't exist. And, oh, you heard a bump in the night. That could be all kinds of crazy things. He was like, just go to bed. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like, he was not, I can't think of the word, but you know what I'm saying. He was a down to earth kind of guy, meats and potatoes kind of guy, right? Hardworking man. But we had, the way our house was set up was we had a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, and then there's stairs that went up to the second level. In the dining room was where he would always sit to do the bills. And this is back in the days, obviously, when you would have to write out a check and send it in the mail to pay your bills. You would have to balance your checkbook. For those of you who have no idea what I mean, just look it up. Anyway, and so he would sit there at the table with my mom a lot of times, sometimes alone, and they would do the bills every month. And he said that a lot of times when he was sitting there doing the bills, and I can't remember if my mom agreed with him on this or if she experienced it, but he would get this overwhelming cold sensation, okay? Like really freezing cold. Like you would want to get up and go put on more clothes, kind of cold. Now, as I said, this was South Carolina in the summertime, okay? And there was absolutely no reason anyone should be cold in your house or otherwise. And yes, we had air conditioning, but it was not cranked up, to 40 degrees. Anyway, that was a sensation he would get. And it wasn't all the time. It wasn't like all the time when you were walking through or sitting in there or doing it. It wasn't like it was always cold. It would just kind of go. That was an experience he had. Now, when I was living there with them, one of the experiences I had, and it was probably my most extreme supernatural experience that I've ever had in my life. was so the stairs kind of went straight up and then kind of wound around the second floor. You could go right into my parents' room, straight into the bathroom, or left to my room. I was in the bathroom one day and I was getting ready for work, I think is what I was doing. And I had a real extreme feeling of fear come over me. It was similar to what I had experienced when I was small. It just suddenly a like you're in danger kind of fear. And I was up there alone, and I looked towards the stairs right out the bathroom door. And from my view out the bathroom door, you could see just the top curve of the stairs coming up. And I just felt this overwhelming dread that there was something coming to get me. And when I looked to the stairway, people, hand to God, this happened. I saw a person dressed in all black clothes with a black ski mask, with the eye holes in the mouth, running up the stairs like full bore. Okay. I don't remember if he had any sort of weapon or anything, but I'm like, he was, it was not a good thing. Like he wasn't just running up the stairs like you would run up the stairs. He was coming up the stairs in a fierce way. And right when he got to the top, like right when he was within probably 5 feet of me, disappeared. It was gone. And I just stood there stunned. Okay. I would have been about, like I said, 20-ish, 19, 20. I was stunned, speechless. And it happened so fast. Like I didn't even have time to like jump back or anything. Like it was just that fast. There was no sound, just that vision. That was my experience there. I can't remember if my mom had any experiences at that house, but for whatever reason, one time, I should say, we went over to my neighbor's house, the ones that were on the other side of the house of the duplex. I don't know. I'm not sure why we did that because it wasn't like we, hung out with them all the time, but we did go over there and, sorry, guy. Meet them. It was a woman who was, I don't know, 40-ish, and her boyfriend. And their side of the house, obviously, was set up just like ours. And we got to talking to them about, I guess, the house. I don't know. And they had had experiences of their own. Several, actually. One of the things they experienced was she would lose jewelry. Like she would take off her jewelry in the evening and she'd put it in a tray on her dresser. And the next morning or whenever she would get up and want to put on her jewelry, and sometimes there was pieces of it that wasn't there. And she'd look all over the place. She couldn't find it anywhere. And then she'd find it in some strange place. Like, for instance, downstairs in the living room, they had what looked like an old-timey elementary school desk. The kind that was a little wooden chair and the desk part was attached to it. If you remember back that far. And she said one time she had found her earrings sitting on the table, the desk part of that. And this was like several days after she'd lost them. And it wasn't like this happened all the time, but it did. One time she had lost a ring, looked everywhere for it, couldn't find it anywhere. One day she had found it just sitting in the middle of her pillow on her bed. I'm sure there were other experiences that she told us about, but those were two that she told us about. She also agreed they had periods of really icy cold in certain spots of the house. So, that's exciting, yeah. And what's really exciting about that, especially after I had that vision of the person running up the stairs, was now I'm living in a house that I know that that's happening. And I don't know if was it a vision from the past? Like, what do they call those? You know, I watch Supernatural, the show, and now I'm spacing. When something happens over and over again, a real thing happened, and then that energy, like it repeats, it's on repeat. It's not like there's an actual ghost running up the stairs at you at the time. Sorry, guys, can't remember the name of it. I don't know if it was that situation, like at some point in time, something awful had maybe happened in that house, and someone had been hurt or attacked or something, and that was the person who had done it. I don't know. I don't know what that was about. I mean, if it was like a warning, oh my God, this is going to happen. It never happened while we were there. So yeah, I don't know. Those are two experiences I have had. Of course, there are others. My husband has had some too, even more wild and crazy uh, than that, I guess you'd say. So yeah, I am curious as to if you guys have experienced anything. I really would like to know. Like, this could be, if this is a topic people are interested in, we could definitely do this more often, share stories and talk about theories, of what we think all of this is about. Uh, so yeah, that's my exciting ghostly experiences for today. Um, I always told my kids, I have told my kids about that experience at the school when I was young, because I think I'm one of those people that believe, when something happens and you just get a feeling, like just a feeling comes over you subconsciously almost that says, you should be afraid. You should not go there. You should not do this. You should do this. Like a just out of nowhere kind of feeling, like subconsciously, or some people might say, oh, it's your conscience telling you something. I believe that feeling, when you get those feelings, that is God, or whatever you believe in, whatever your religious beliefs are. I believe that is that trying to let you know, trying to get through to you in a way because you can't know. And so I always tell my kids to pay attention to those feelings. Your gut instinct, that's what some people might say. Pay attention to that, because even if you don't believe that that's what it is, it is something. you know Maybe it's something to do with part of our brain that we don't understand what that part of the brain does. Who knows? But it is something, and I do believe you should pay attention to it. So that's my story for today, guys. I'm curious to see what kinds of experiences you have had, if any, with this kind of thing. Sorry, guys, I can't, I have to get real close when I do my eyeliner. So, now that we've talked about ghosts, what are you guys going to do for the day? You got any plans? It's rainy and, the usual, like, not winter temperature here. So, I know that my husband and I need to go to Home Depot because he has some things he wants to do. We're getting some home improvements done. We are going to redo our bathroom. It's not, and redo is wrong. I mean, yes, it is a redo, but it's because it is literally falling down around us and has been for a long time. When we bought this house, the people that had it before us, they were house flippers, and not the kind that, necessarily knew what they were doing, let's just say. And so we have this window on the wall in our bathroom, on our shower wall, and it was framed with wood. Um, Maybe it was the wrong wood. Maybe it wasn't treated right with the proper products to deal with water. I don't know. But, it wasn't long before it started to just kind of fall apart. The framing around the window. And so then, as the framing around the window started to fall apart, the tiles would be kind of loose and also falling apart. So we are going to go look at some new things to fix our bathroom. That's one thing we are doing. We are also having our a new roof put on Monday, provided the weather holds. So yeah, gonna go look at that kind of stuff. I've decided that I want to paint my laundry room and my kitchen. My laundry room, as you may have seen if you saw that video, you probably couldn't tell, but it is the world's smallest laundry room. And it has always been painted white, never painted any other color. Same with my kitchen since we moved in. Unlike the rest of the house, which we actually have painted all the rooms. So I have some ideas now finally on what I want to paint, both the kitchen and the laundry room. So we're going to go pick up some paint cards so I can show my husband what I think and see what he thinks on that. And I think that's it. I know he has to work a little bit today. And then, of course, football's on, guys, tonight. For those of you who are into NFL and, the playoffs and all of that, getting ready for the Super Bowl coming up. I don't know who you're rooting for. A lot of my teams are still in it. The Denver Broncos, Pittsburgh Steelers, the New England Patriots, and the Bills. Those are all some of my favorite teams. And they are surprisingly all still in it. But that's not surprising. What is surprising is one of my favorite teams is not in it. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs, which is surprising. As you may know if you follow football, they are one of the best, normally, teams out there. But not this year. And so we'll probably be watching some football and making something yummy for food. My youngest child and his girlfriend will be here tonight for the night. Probably watch a scary movie with them. And yeah. So it's, you know what? It's a good Saturday. Even if the weather doesn't want to cooperate, we can't get any winter weather, it's okay. So that's what we're doing. And I'm trying to think. My oldest son, he wants calzones for supper. And I've been promising to do this for a while, but I didn't have all the ingredients. Actually, I was going to try a different way. I had bought some frozen bread dough rolls. Rhodes is the brand. There's 3 rolls in it. Not rolls, loaves of bread. And I was going to use that the other day, and I put them in my refrigerator to defrost, and they did, and also expanded and burst out of the bag. And so those were no good. Had to throw those away. So I wasn't able to do it then, but I went and bought some more. We're going to give this another shot. And, see how that turns out. So I might make those tonight. good Lord, I don't know what's going on with I think my eyelash curler has sticky mascara or something all over it. They want to stick. Guys, I could pull out my eyelashes at any moment. I mean, hopefully not, but it may need cleaned. Lord. Anyhow, so I'm going to either make calzones or something else. Don't know yet what I'm going to make for sure. I don't know if you saw my little screen post the other day, but I am going to also make some brownies. I was thinking about, do you guys frost your brownies when you make them? Normally I do not. That's just too sweet for me. But I have seen a few videos of them recently with people frosting them, and that looked so yummy. I probably won't do it though, to be honest. It's just not for me, really. Too sweet. So I may make brownies. We'll see. And that's really my whole day in a nutshell. It is almost noon, or probably is noon by now since I talk so long on these videos. And for those of you who have hung in there all this time watching, oh my gosh, you are the real deals. And I really appreciate you, because they are long, guys. I don't know. I've been trying to do some short reels and stuff for you, but what can I say? Sometimes I just want to talk. And I thought this ghost thing was a good one, because a lot of people have a lot of experiences, and I would love to hear what yours are. I really would. So feel free to share. Guys, I think I'm done. As done as I want to be. I'm not thrilled with my mascara, but I think that's because my flippin' eyelash curler is sticky. And so therefore made my eyelashes gross and my mascara not want to adhere correctly. But it's fine. It's all good. It looks good enough. And that's all I'm going for. Good enough, y'all. Good enough. So, thank you for being with me today. Listening to me blither on about my ghosts. And I have more stories. So, there's more to come. I love you all. Have a wonderful Saturday.